let's just get on with the review. Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here, and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Planet of Evil, the second story of Doctor Who Season 13. And this is only Tom Baker's 7th story ever. I mean, he's got 7 seasons, and we're only this early in, and already we might possibly have his worst story. Possibly, I mean, before rewatching this story it was a little bit higher, there was one or two stories that were lower. But rewatching it, I think it might possibly be the worst one. I mean, I'll make that final decision at the end of the era, and there'll probably be other ones that I will like even less, like I did before rewatching this. But so far, easily the worst. The plot is pretty poor. I mean, normally it's okay. I mean, it does sound like it's doing a couple of things again for the billionth time. Okay, maybe that's an exaggeration, but basically we got this scientific expedition on a planet trying to find these minerals to help with the because Earth's running out of minerals. It's going to save the planet or something. I don't really care, actually, because I started losing interest in this plot. This bit didn't really lose my interest, but the way it's handled isn't really that interesting. I'm sure we've done parts of these plots before, but hey, I mean, it's apparently difficult to come up with brand new plots after, well, at this point in time, 13 years on the air, and at this point now, 56 later this year. And then you've also got these guys coming in to rescue them after a distress call is sent out. Now, they seem to suspect the Doctor and Sarah Jane, who also pick up the distress call, to be murderers. Okay, fair enough. I mean, that we've had this before. We've had the Doctor and Sarah, well, the Doctor and companion or companions, be suspected of committing a crime or killing people when they arrive. That seems to be something that's been happening quite a lot, especially towards the end of the Pertwee era, start of this era, and it will happen again, I'm sure. But the way it's played out here, it's just making my teeth grind, and more than it did with Frontier in Space. And what's worse is that it goes on till the very start of part 4, as opposed to around halfway through the story, where they start to listen to them a little bit more, but then towards the end of part 3, the sides just kill them. Halfway through the story is about the point where the side characters are like, okay, we were dicks earlier, but now we trust you, now we believe you. Maybe there's one or two who don't do that, but everybody else seems to be trusting you. Just before the last episode, okay, let's do this. Doesn't do that, it's just, I mean, fair enough to mix up with the formula, but it's still executed poorly. And once again, we got shouty characters and pushy-shovey ones, which I'm really, really hating. Especially this black guy, the one black guy in this story, by the way. And I don't want to hate on any black guys because racism and all that, but this character is actually a pretty poor character, and he's only in 2 episodes, so yeah, he's not exactly Cotton from the Mutants. Cotton, despite the potentially racist name, was actually a very good character. This guy, just here for 2 episodes. He's a bit of a prick. He's the Ola of Planet of Evil, except he's only around for 2 episodes and doesn't shout as much. But when he does talk, well, not when he talks, it's just there's 2 moments. Firstly, it's in around middle of part 1, where the Doctor is explaining, where they say, we didn't pick up the distress call soon enough. The Doctor's like, my technology is probably better than yours. Then the guy just shoves him and says, shut up! for no reason. Literally no reason. You could just have him say, silence, pointing the gun at him again or something. I mean, it'd be annoying, but still. And what's even worse is I think the actor was a little bit late to doing that. There felt like a tiny pause in between Tom Baker's line and that line. It just didn't feel right. It's made worse by that pause. I mean, the whole line and the action felt horrible for me. And it's not even done in a way to show these guys are bastards or bad guys or just not to be trusted or that they're not trusting the Doctor. They're just being dicks. A second time is when they get recaptured at the end of midway through part 2 and Black Guy falls to his death. Just before that happens, they capture the Doctor and Sarah, and then when they're grabbed from behind when they're supposed to be searched, and it's kind of like they're being, I'm not sure what it is, but not tortured, just handled in a very bad way. It's like when you grab someone and you kind of trying to hurt them whilst someone else is searching them, but it's kind of like you're bending them back and grabbing their arms, bending them back, kind of giving them quite a bit of pain. Especially with Sarah Jane, they just grab them and hold them like that for no reason, especially when they're being searched. Not to mention when the Doctor says he can search his pockets, the guy is just like, put your hands up! And not in a nice way. Yeah, they don't have to be nice, but it's just getting a bit annoying, some of them. This guy's not the worst guy, but he was certainly a bit annoying in these 2 parts. And it's a shame because he's the only black guy in the episodes, I should say. So that's sad. So yeah, he thankfully dies. Not because he's black, because he was a bad character. He falls into that pit and presumably dies. I mean, the Doctor did, but then he was sent back up. That was the episode 2 cliffhanger. There's also the guy in charge. He can be seen as he wants his power. He wants to be in charge. He probably generally thinks the Doctor and Sarah have killed the other people. And even when he does listen to them for a little bit, but he's still ahead of himself. He's still a bit of a prick. There's a bit in part 3 where he shoves the Doctor when he's telling him to lead into the TARDIS. It just feels, again, unnecessary, even less necessary than before. And why the Doctor just doesn't tell him out right there and then, oh, it's a spaceship. By the way, do you want to come and have a look? I was genuinely happy when I saw the Doctor punch the bastard, because, honest to God, he was starting to get on my fucking nerves. Unfortunately, he got on my nerves even more just afterwards. And then in part 4, he just goes absolutely crazy for no reason. I'm not even putting it down to the fact he's scared. He just goes crazy for no reason. It's like in Enemy of the World where Bennett just decides to try and run away and then gets captured and he's like, I demand a trial. What was he doing then? And it's the same here. Except in Enemy of the World, Bennett was a fantastic character, and other moments with him and other elements of that story more than made up for that what just happened moment. Here, very little makes up for what is going on with this guy. I mean, it's glad he's out of the way for a bit and he gets killed. I didn't cheer, so I'm going to cheer right now. Yay! But it doesn't make sense. He just goes crazy. I can see him being annoyed for for the other guy taking over as commander. He finds he's not quite doing that great a job. He's a bit jealous. And then he just goes crazy for some reason. I really fucking hate that character. I mean, he was starting to be okay midway through episode 2, start of episode 3, and then he just went back to being his old dick self. And, I don't know, just making him going mad just somehow made it even worse. I don't know how, it just did. This other commander guy, he's okay. I mean, he has his shouty moments in part 2, he's a bit brutish. But he's not too bad, he's okay. He's actually quite nice in part 4 and the end of part 3. Even defends the Doctor and Sarah when someone else dies at the start of part 4, and he's saying, but We were with them. They were downstairs. We were about to throw them out. How could they have done this whilst we were about to execute them? You dumb, stupid F. He's talking to that character I was having a go about a moment ago. So, yeah, making that character even stupider and even worse. Give me a break. And apparently this story features the best planet set they've done in a studio, unless you're talking about a jungle set, in which case go to Creature from the Pit. To that I say, it's alright, I guess. Maybe. I mean, I'm not comparing, but give me Spiridon any day, and same goes for Creature from the Pit. Give me Spiridon any day. Or in this one's case, also give me Marinus any day. I mean, the set does look, actually, that set does actually look a bit more realistic. The hole in the ground, I think in some bits it actually looks like a visual effect in some sequences from alternative angles for some reason. I don't know, maybe that's just me. It is definitely a hole in the set for when the Doctor and that black guy have to fall into it. But in other shots it might have been a visual effect for some reason. Speaking of visual effects, the villains, the monsters. Antimatter creatures. But what do they look like? Well, if I can find you a picture, I mean, that's what they look like, but you can't really tell very well because of the cover. Can I get you a picture? No, there's no pic. You can tell how proud they were of the creature. There's only a slight picture on the cover, and it doesn't even show you what it really looks like. Not really. So here's a picture I found from online. Yeah, looks pretty stupid, doesn't it? It's supposed to be a visual effects creature, but it looks really, really stupid. It's supposed to be an antimatter creature, and it's coming from the antimatter world and killing people for some reason. I can understand it doesn't want its precious minerals that the Professor character is taking on board the ship. It doesn't want them taking away, and it's probably a bit annoyed. But why does it just randomly attack people? I don't know. I can understand it holding the ship back in orbit. I can understand it going after some of the people, maybe the ones near the crater or near where those stones were found. But why does it have to go and attack the landing party ship thing, or go near it, or why does it go on to the rescue ship? What is its what's the point? It's really just there so the Doctor and Sarah can be accused of murdering people, then throw in our Monster of the Week, which looks absolutely poor. I'll give it that. When they are trying to hide it, when they're trying to set up the mystery, what could it be? What's this mysterious force on the planet that's killing people? That's absolutely fine. I think that's actually pretty good. You're setting up a mystery. Something mysterious is on this planet. Maybe the planet itself, it's not uncommon. However, once it's revealed, then it gets pretty shit. And so is its motivations. I mean, the rock samples being taken away from it, I can understand that. I wouldn't want something taken away from my place either. Not one brick. Not one brick. But why is it killing people? Why is it just roaming around, just killing people? I don't get it. Unless and what's worse is that apparently it's a couple of months since the distress call went out, and when the Doctor, Sarah, and the rescue people came along, and the Professor was on that planet. And I honestly thought he may have been infected whilst he was there. But to him, it seems like it was going to be a few days to him. But it's not really addressed until later on, and then, even then that's not confirmed. Not sure what's happening to him. Or at least we're not sure what did happen. What happens to him later is that whilst he's on the ship, he's very determined to take these things off. Well, due to his scientific theory and all that. However, the planet seems to have affected him, and when he looks at these, some of the stones, he kind of starts turning into an animal at points. He's kind of like a were-man at points for some reason, and he also goes on a bit of a killing spree and also helps release some more antimatter creatures onto the ship, unless they manage to get up there themselves. And that was due to Captain Stupid Face zapping him with this accelerator thing, and some of these other antimatter creatures came along. this is starting to get really, really fucking stupid. This just, I mean, I'm okay with the were creature, but it's kind of coming a little bit too late. It's kind of after halfway. It doesn't quite work. It's also reminding me a lot of the Primoids as well, but then again, this story does have a bit of a feel about some other much better Pertwee stories, and Planet of the Daleks springs to mind. I would even say the Bloody Mutants is better. There was another one I was thinking of that had similarities to this one, but I wasn't really sure which one. Three Doctors, because of the antimatter. And going back to that antimatter design, yeah, whilst I criticised, in my review of the Three Doctors, I criticised Omega's friends looking pretty shit in both Three Doctors and Arc of Infinity. And I'll mention it again with that one as well, because with that weird-looking bird creature thing. But all of Omega's friends, the Gel Guards, funny bird creature, they all look better than this antimatter monster. It's actually making me half wish Omega was in this story. At least you'd have an interesting villain, even if they did an Arc Infinity on him. He's still better than this. But the other half of me says that that doesn't necessarily have to happen all the bloody time. So yeah, they'd want a new monster in for it. I mean, this whole season's full of new monsters. Yeah, one of them is going to go on to reappear in the future, but well, in the TV series, in expanded media, you've got two more as well. Three more, maybe even all of them apart from this one actually. In expanded media, especially Big Finish, they all go back. They all come back. But yeah, you can see why this one doesn't come back. It's also pretty much a one-off. Doesn't really. I mean, some of the other ones could be said for one-off. Can't be used again, but they find a way. I'm not sure. I'm losing momentum here. It's just episodes 1, 2, and 3. Apart from a few moments, I was just sitting there getting really pissed off by quite a few of the side characters being stupid and just annoying. Part 4 wasn't as tedious to watch, but we still had quite a bit of stupid moments, especially from Captain Stupid Face, who just decided to go crazy for no reason whatsoever. The ending's alright, I guess, but I don't really know what's going on, and I don't exactly know what it's doing. It might even be going a bit quick, to be honest. Yeah, it does that. Slow build-up followed by quick payoff. I don't even think it's explained, not until the end. I think what it is just that the Doctor is returning the stones. Yeah, I think that's it. He's returning all the stones, and that's it. That's all it takes to get them, allow them to leave, and for the Professor to be unpossessed or whatever. Whatever the planet was doing to him by turning him into an animal or whatever. I don't know. I'm giving up with this one. By this point, my B point, I've stopped caring. I kind of stopped caring with this one. If I stop caring, then you know I'm not interested. Then it's not an interesting story, and I kind of gotten fed up with this. It's not like Terror of the Diamonds, where you don't have to follow it too seriously. It's still a fun, enjoyable story. This time, it's not even that. It's got some dull moments. I wouldn't say it's terribly. Actually, yes, I would. It's terribly boring. I mean, there is some good moments in there from time to time. Things start to be looking up around halfway through part 2, but halfway through part 3 it then goes back down again. And whilst part 4 is a massive improvement on the other 3, okay, maybe not a massive one, is an improvement on the other 3, there are still plenty of shit moments to dislike in that one. Fans of the Philip Hinchcliffe era may like this one, as may fans of the 70s or just the Fourth Doctor, maybe some classic fans overall. They might like this. But personally, judging the entire run of the show, there's got to be a few duds every other couple of stories. You can't just... and it seems to be a pattern with the Tom Baker stories at the moment with me. It seems to be having a okay/fine story sometimes replaced by a bad, or in this case, a shit story. And in between those, you've got brilliant or amazing stories as well. It seems to be some sort of pattern, except this time round they've actually gone down the absolutely shit route. I liked Robot, I fucking loved Ark in Space, I liked Sontaran Experience, loved Genesis of the Darks, didn't really care for Revenge of the Cybermen. The worst thing they did there was the treatment of the Cybermen, but the plot was still also pretty bad. But most of my negative points were about how the Cybermen were treated there, so that was a pretty poor one. But not one I would rant too much about, apart from how they treated the Cybermen, of course. Then we had the really fun and entertaining Terror of the Zygons, and then we get this. And you can probably tell what my opinion of this story is just from talking about it. I really, really hated watching this one, and I've never enjoyed watching this one before, apart from that one point where couple of years ago, I think I saw a bit of it on UK TV Gold, but I didn't know, I don't remember what my feelings on that time were, but I certainly saw it on Horror in the past couple of years, since when it was shown once on the Horror Channel, if you remember that, and I didn't really like it there. It was certainly one of my least favourite Fourth Doctor stories since watching that. I'm certainly seen it at least once there. Then I got the DVD, watched it, wasn't a fan still, and then, yeah, and that's what prompted my comment in the Terror of the Zygons review, and it was already listed as one of my least favourite Tom Baker stories. Then we get to my latest rewatching, and yeah, just absolutely shit. The previous rewatching score was going to be a 5, which would beat a couple of other Fourth Doctor stories that are yet to come. However, after the rewatching, I lowered that rating to 3. So it now overtakes some of those stories at the moment, of course. And like I said, I'll confirm what my least favourite Tom Baker story is by the end. Some of those other stories could go lower. At the moment, the lowest is 4. Lowest besides this one is 4. Or lowest ones, I should say, but some of those may go lower. Some other ones that may be higher could also go lower as well. However, at the moment, Planet of Evil is just absolutely shit. And you know what? After going through this review, I've kind of hated it more. I've kind of hated it even more than I even decided with my last score. So I've actually decided, I may have not been so clear with all my problems, but I think I've been clear enough, and therefore I decided not to give it a 3. I'm going to give it a 2. I'm going to give Planet of Evil a 2 out of 10. The reason I was going to give it a 3 was because episode 4 was actually not too bad. It had quite a few bad moments, as I mentioned, but it was actually okay. And then same with parts of 2 and 3, and maybe a little bit of 1. Still some positives in there. The sets does look pretty good. The acting, especially from our main leads and that older supporting character, it's pretty good. And some of the sets also look pretty decent, but on the whole, as I was talking about it, I was finding myself hating the story even more on a story basis, and not so much on the story itself, but the way it was executed. And I don't mean like with Revenge of the Cybermen, where it was a bad story could have been saved by some good execution in terms of filming and editing and all that. But though this time round, it's just how the story was portrayed, not how it was portrayed by film, how it was filmed and edited, how the actors and all the stuff did it. It's just how the story itself just executed itself, and how the execution of the execution goes ahead. And I found myself just really hating it more and more as I was talking about it. So comes to the point where it probably would be my least favourite Tom Baker story. Again, can't confirm it just yet, but judging how much I've been disliking it even more as I've been talking about it, let alone as I was rewatching it, then it probably has cemented that position, unless another one or another two or whatever take over. I had at least two others that were going to be weaker. Face of Evil next series, and the Sunmakers the season which in this series afterwards, plus quite a bit of season 17 is also pretty poor, and there may be one or two from season 18 that are also pretty weak. So we'll see about those. Season 16 I actually think is quite solid. I mean, there is at least one dud in that one, but not as bad as this. I might even say the same for season 18. Possibly. 17 we'll see. 13, no, this is 13. 14 and 15 are the closest to potentially beating this one. We'll see. Face of Evil has quite a few problems that I had with this one as well in that one, but we'll get to that when we get to that. And Sunmakers is just a bad story. Again, we'll get to that. And season 17 I probably think is the worst Tom Baker season, and probably the worst of the classic era, as it's more bad than good. There's only really two good stories in that one. Well, two outstanding stories. One okay, maybe one decent, but there's more bad than good. So, yeah, Planet of Evil. I can't stand this one. I really tried, guys. I did try. I sat out the story. I tried to like it. I actually went in hoping I might like it more this time round, and I might have to take what I said back from the last review, but actually instead I might have to say it's even worse than what I thought. And I'm going to say it's even worse than what I used to think. And it may definitely be the worst Fourth Doctor story for me. Personally, I know a couple of other people would probably choose something a little bit later on, but for me, it's probably this one, unless I say otherwise later down the line, which I could do, but it depends on those stories, really, doesn't it? Depends on those stories, how I feel about them, and so by the end of the year, it depends on which one I liked the least. So, it could easily be this one, but it could easily be Sunmakers, which was previously my least favourite, and could be yet again. But until the end, we'll find out. I'm trying to explain that in case some people who love this era are kind of getting a bit annoyed by the low score. But hey, no era is without its duds, just like how no era is without its excellence. So yeah, my personal favourite era is the Russell T Davies era. Everything just fell into place, apart from a couple of stories which didn't quite work. There are a couple of duds in series 1 to 4, or seasons 27 to 30s that I admittedly say aren't that very good. There's more good than bad in that, and I would say the same for the Hinchcliffe era. But there are the occasional duds. So yeah, and I will probably rant about at least one or two of those. At least, just like here, there will be one or two rants here and there. But there will also be plenty of mass praise, just like in the Hinchcliffe era. I mean, you had you've got two of my favourite stories of all time, one of which was in my top 10 of all time just last season. And you had a mostly positive review just now, and you're going to have another mostly positive review next time with the amazing Pyramids of Mars. That's right, Pyramids of Mars is next. And it's kind of horrifying that this story is between the fun and engaging Terror of the Zygons and the brilliant Pyramids of Mars, which is just, as I mentioned, it's brilliant and amazing. I'm actually looking forward to this one a bit more now than I was, because after the experience of Planet of Evil, plus the fact that I know this is a great story, this is another very popular one, and by Jesus, I can see how. So that's it from me. Thank you for watching this review / rant on Planet of Evil. Next time, Pyramids of Mars. Sutek save me. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel. I also have to, and then the guy potentially, and what's even worse is I think that guy was actually except in Enemy of the World that came late. Except in Enemy of the World, the rest of the story pretty much made up for that bit. This time round, here, very little more than look at the city in. Actually, that's a bad example. I'll explain. I think it's done a bit too fast, or B, and A, it's either done, and well, I'm going to have fun with this.